The topic of this scribblecast is adding, as it indicates here, adding integers. You've probably done lots of adding and subtracting over the years, and you've probably added and subtracted integers too, maybe not even thinking about that. But I wanted just to make sure, review that, and make sure you're comfortable with doing that. First off, when you're adding real numbers, and these I just put integers in there, but you could put decimals or you could put fractions in there as well, and the same concept apply. This is a spot where many students stumble, and there's just little things in there that they don't catch, and so you want to be really good at doing this. I'll show you two ways of thinking about adding real numbers, and just pick whichever one makes sense to you. The first way I like to think about, and this is how I do them in my head, is I think gambling. Or, not that I'm a gambler, but I think money. And so if it's a positive number, that means I'm getting money, so I'm winning. And if it's a negative number, it means I've lost. So if I've lost 5 and then I win back 7, I'm up 2. If I lost 7, I lose another 8, I'm down 15. I'm up 10, I lose 5, I still have 5, I'm still up. I'm up 4, I get another 9, so I'm up 13. Now let's try these last ones. So, and if you want to pause and try them on your own, you can. Just thinking about them in terms of gambling. Down 4, gain 3, I'm still in the hole, but only in the hole 1 now. I'm down 4, I lose another 7, so I'm down 11. I'm up 8, bad run, I lose 10, so I'd be in the hole 2. So that's one way you can think of adding real numbers. And we'll do subtraction here as well in the next scribblecast. It's one way of thinking about that. If that makes sense to you and you can do them and be consistent the whole time, that's good. Here's another way of thinking about it. And if you just sort of examine these first 4 that I've already done, you can see some rules that start emerging. Like in this one, you see I have a negative number and a positive. Here I've got 2 negatives. Here I have a positive and a negative. So this one should be very similar to that one. Here I've got 2 positives. So the rule is if you have 2 numbers that both have the same sign, let's see, those are the different signs. Here's same sign. So if they have the same sign, to get the answer here, it looks like they added those 2 numbers. 8 plus 7 is 15. So if the same sign, then you add, and what sign does it stay? It stays as a negative. So you add them and keep the sign. Let's see if that applies to different, oh here, same signs, add, and they stay positive. That's just a normal one, that's true. Is there one like that down here at the bottom? Different signs. Oh, here's one. Same sign. So it says add. 4 plus 7 is 11. And keep the sign. They're both negative, so this has to be negative 11. Okay, so conversely, and you can maybe think about the other rule. The other rule would be if they have different signs. So here's ones where they're different, and it looks to get an answer of 2 that they subtracted those 2 numbers. So different signs, you would subtract. And what sign would you take? You can't keep a sign because they're different signs. This one's a minus out. Well, it looks like the bigger one, I kept the bigger number sign. Let's see if that holds true with this one. Different signs, so I subtract. 10 take away 5 is 5. And then it looks like I kept this positive sign. So the larger number here, in terms of absolute value, the one furthest from 0, that would be the sign that you would take. So if they're different signs, subtract and take larger numbers sign. I guess really it's the absolute value of the larger number. Whichever one's biggest, furthest from 0, you use its sign. Let's try that rule here. Different signs, so I subtract. 4 take away 3 is 1. Larger number, this one would be further from 0. I'm taking its sign. Here's another one. Different signs, subtract. 10 take away, it's 2. Notice I don't even worry about what the signs are. I just see that they're different, so I subtract. This one's further from 0, so I've got to take its sign. Hopefully those two rules here and that other way of thinking about it helps you a little bit with integers. Certainly you need to practice a ton. Let's just practice a little bit here. Maybe pause the video, try these on your own, see what you come up with, then press play again and see if you're right. Okay, hopefully you've pressed play. Let me move this over. Maybe I'll just throw it right there, it's fine. Hopefully you got it right. Different signs, subtract, 5 take away 7 take away 5 is 2. This one's further from 0, that's its sign. Same sign, add, 18, keep the sign. Different signs, subtract. This is further from 0, so it's got to be positive. Different signs, subtract, and so it would be, you subtract those, you get 0.43, further from 0, positive. Ooh, fractions, fun. I would have had to have got a common denominator there, but they're different signs, so I subtract the two. I think this comes out to 9/12 and this is 8/12. So I subtract the two, it comes out to 1/12. This one, the 9/12 was further away, so it turns out to be positive. Notice I also wrote that as a decimal. Okay, another useful thing to be able to do would be able to perform these calculations on a calculator. Let me just pull up my calculator here, and hopefully you can see that. Well, I was doing some other calculations. Let me clear. Okay, so if I were going to do any of these operations like 5 plus -7, I could go 5 plus a -7 equals, notice it comes out to the right answer, -10, so it'd be -10 plus a -8 equals. Let's maybe do the fraction one. So 3/4, so 3 divided by 4 plus a negative 2 divided by 3. 2/3. Go. Now it gives me that same decimal place that I got. It'd be nice to keep it as a fraction. If you have one of these TI calculators, and the other ones can do it too, you just have to find the right buttons. But on this one you can click on Math, and the first one there is Convert Me to a Fraction. You hit that button once, hit it again, and it does change it into a fraction for you, 1/12. Okay, so that's how you could use a calculator to help you with doing your integers that way. Okay, now integers are all around us. Temperature is just one example. Say you're in Lethbridge and currently you're at +4. And then the temperature drops by 15. If it drops by 15, I'm probably calling that a -15. So they say, what is the new temperature? So I'm up 4 and I lose 15. Or I can think of it as being different signs, so I have to subtract. 15 take away 4 is 11. And then the sign is whichever one's furthest from 0. This one's furthest from 0, so my answer has to be -11. Again, you can think gambling, up 4, lose 15. I'm going to be in the hole by 11. Here's another quick example of that. You're watching stock, you buy in at 0.75. First month it jumps, so it goes up, so it's plus another 0.57. Second month it drops by 0.73, so it drops, so that'd be a negative 0.73. Notice I put a and, so this is another activity and it drops. I could have, rather than put a plus and a minus there, I could have just put a minus. That would have worked too. Third month it rose by 0.55, so plus, it rose, so it goes up, so it'd be positive 0.55. So there's another example where you'd use integers. Let's just do this one quickly on the calculator here. If I can, so 5. So it would be, oh, you want to see this. So let's clear things. So 0.75 plus 0.57 plus a negative 0.73 plus a 0.55. equals 1.14. Can you see that? 1.14. So at the end of this, he would be up 1.14. That would be the current value of the stock. Last thing I wanted to share with you in this Scribblecast, and it's really a precursor to the next one where we talk about subtracting integers. But often when you have a problem like this, say you have 4 plus, or maybe minus, 4 minus a negative 3, a question like that, this concept here of doing an opposite or an additive inverse will help us with a question like that. Basically, opposite or additive inverse means change the sign. So if I have negative 11, if I want the additive inverse to that, it'd be a positive 11. Don't confuse it with absolute value. Absolute value, the answer to any absolute values question is always going to be a positive number. But the additive inverse, different than absolute value, is just you change the sign. So if it's negative, you make it positive. If it's positive, you make it negative. If it's positive, you make it negative. So the additive inverse of any number or any term is just simply you change the sign of what it is. Okay, so in this section we have looked at adding real numbers. In our next section we'll look at subtracting them. We'll find that that's just a hair more intense than adding.